Hey, this is Pathological Hustler. I'm your host, Amir Jamar. What I want you guys to do right now, if you like the content that I put out, you want to subscribe, go ahead and click that link in the bio below. You can find me at email at pathologicalhustlerpod@gmail.com. If you want to check out the Instagram, it is @ pathological hustler pod. Every single week, we'll be putting out ways of making passive income. If you're a person that's trying to leave your 9-to-5 job, this is a podcast for you. If you're a person that's looking at another way of making some passive income, this is a podcast for you. If you're trying to betterment yourself and who you are right now and elevate to another level, this is a podcast for you. Hey, good afternoon for everybody who's tuned in. I'm your host, Amir Jamar. This is the very first episode of Pathological Hustler. For y'all that don't know, Pathological Hustler is a financial literacy platform where we just sit amongst each other with friends and family, people who are actively doing this in their community, actively making money, finding passive ways to make income. And we're just learning from each other, picking their brain. Today, I got a special guest today, a fine young brother named Anthony Murphy. Anthony Murphy is a real estate investor, a good friend of mine. He's been flipping homes for a while now. How you doing today, Anthony?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. It's a pleasure to have you on there. I really appreciate you coming in last minute like that.
Yeah, man. I got you. Glad you called.
Okay, so just jumping right into it. So, how old are you? How did you get into, flipping homes? How did you get into the real estate game? Like, what was it for you?
Right now, I'm 41. So, my first house I built, I was in the military. So I got out. I moved to a little town in Oklahoma, Lawton. And I bought my first home, which I was terrified. I didn't know anything about buying homes. I didn't know anything about real estate, nothing about mortgage. My parents never went over that stuff with me.
Yeah.
So I bought my first home, planned on staying there for a while. And then I ended up getting hired here in Houston. And I think I was only in that house 6 months.
Yeah.
And I remember I sold it.
Why'd you sell it?
It was a mistake.
Okay.
But I had heard, people, they never talked about renting or holding properties as rentals. Everybody, when you move, you just got rid of the home. That's what I thought. So I sold it. And in 6 months, I made probably $25,000.
$25,000.
So that got my, right. That
got the wheels moving.
Right. So I'm sitting there. I obviously went and blew it. I was young.
Yeah.
Went and blew the money. Hanging out in Dallas and partying and stuff, but came down to Houston, bought another home. Again, not really into the investment mindset. Yeah. I knew that I could make money once I sold it, but I stayed there a couple years, and I'm getting married, and we moved into another house, and that's when I was again going to sell that home.
Yeah,
and somebody's like, "Well, why don't you just try renting it out?" So I started asking around, and everybody had these horror stories. Don't do this. You don't want to do that. The tenants will tear your house up. You get late phone calls. All that stuff. So, I kind of go against the grain with a lot of stuff that people were saying. Like if everybody's going that way, I try to go.
So let me go ahead and ask you this. So you mentioned. Like one of these cons is renting out your house. You get these renters that tear up your home and all that. How do you kind of like screen for like the perfect renter or somebody that you actually want to move into your house? Is there like an age thing you look at, or like how family's set up? How do you go about?
Well, there's no perfect tenant.
Yeah,
because nobody's going to take care of your home like you would.
Yeah.
So it's just you can interview them. You can a lot of people just take applications online or they hire somebody and they never see the person. I think that's kind of dangerous. I like to meet them face to face.
Yeah, get a feel for who moving in your house.
Is this a family? Is it a single young cat? So it's just you got to do your due diligence. Just as with anything,
like anything in research.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Touching on that, so you moved to the second house and you're getting ready to flip this house. So was there any like hiccups you ran into? Like take me through the process of, flipping a home. What do I need to do? Like first off, what do I need to have in order for me to be able to buy a home and knowing that I'm going to flip it? How do I need to set myself up?
Wait, so say that again. To flip a home.
So I buy this property, right?
Right.
Say for instance, it's a little beat up, but I know just doing a soft flip, maybe some exterior paint coating, fixing up the yard or whatnot. I plan on putting this house back on the market. What are some things that I need to go ahead and just have in the back of my mind going through this process if I am going to get into the real estate game as far as flipping homes, if trying to buy and sell homes for a greater profit?
Everything is in numbers. So you have to have your exit strategy solid. Meaning, am I gonna fix this up and flip it? Meaning resell it? Am I gonna hold this as a rental or am I gonna move into it? So you have to have your exit strategy like solid. Once you're talking about flipping. So the numbers have to make sense in the beginning and the end.
Okay.
So you have to know what that market sells for, what
Okay.
that area sells for. You can't buy a house you know, and want to sell it for $300,000 if every house over there is selling for $100,000.
So you kind of just have to like do your own research and due diligence of like
Yeah,
what houses are going for in that market.
yeah.
Uh, and I'm
Everything is
guessing that you're
numbers.
kind of looking for homes that are kind of, a little bit undersold, but just putting a little bit of money into it, you could flip it for a greater profit. Like, is that kind of your strategy? How do you go about it?
So you mean undervalued?
Yeah, like a little bit undervalued.
Yeah, you
Just need a
definitely want it to where you can. We call it a value add, meaning let's say we use hard numbers, 100,000.
Mhm.
So you right, you have to know how much the repairs are going to cost. So if it's $20,000, right then you know that you can't go above $80,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you have to take all this other stuff in consideration. How much profit do I want? How much uh, could things possibly go wrong? So you kind of, it's kind of shaking off the numbers.
Okay, well, since you've already been doing this like actively, of course you've had some successes. Can you tell us a little bit about a shortcoming you came trying to flip a house, and things didn't exactly go as planned, and like how you maneuvered around that, or if you didn't, uh, any examples of that?
Yeah, every single house,
Okay,
every single house, nothing goes as planned. I
gotcha.
don't care if you think it's a big mansion that is pristine or a house that's collapsing. Nothing goes as planned. So you have to know how to pivot. You got to know if there's a problem, what's the solution for it. Like you just got to know all that stuff.
Now, do you typically like work with the same construction company that you've been using in order to buy a house, or like how do you stay consistent with who you? I use the same real estate agent. I use the same construction company. Whoever does the yard, that's who I choose to hire out. Do you how you do that?
Yeah, most successful people tell you have to build a team.
Yeah.
So you need a good team around you, and those pretty much are the same people that like y'all are coming up together with. So whether it's the same contractors, same real estate agents, because when you guys are working together so much, then they know what you want. They don't have to call you every second. My real estate agent knows. Don't call me with a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. I'm not going to buy that.
Yeah.
She knows to call me 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. In certain areas. Don't call me. My construction guys. They know what kind of materials and how I want the finished product to look. So don't call me. Do you want granite countertops or this, or do you want this kind of toilet or you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Most def. Okay, is there so sometimes I'm driving around Houston and I see these signs and it says like we buy ugly homes, or like what are people trying to do when they actually see these signs? Like how are people making money off of we buy ugly homes? Like what is that? Is that a scam? Like what is that?
No, it's definitely not a scam. That's called wholesaling.
Wholesaling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most 99% of those people are wholesalers. So what they do is they try to take houses off your hands that people don't want to deal with for a number of reasons. Somebody could have just died. Somebody could be going through a divorce. Somebody had a medical issue and they can't afford the house anymore. It's those type of situations to where we'll take the house as is. Don't worry about the repairs. Don't worry about anything. Just hand us the keys. We'll hand you a check, and everybody goes on. But if you try to sell a house, on the market, you put it
Yeah.
on the MLS, they're gonna want it tip top condition.
Yeah.
Like you got to go and update the kitchen, update the floors, and if you don't do that, then the price comes down.
Yeah, of course, of course.
These guys are saying, don't worry about any of that.
So they're just buying it as is,
Yeah,
like just okay. So wholesaling the house.
yeah,
Uh, so a person. So I see us. So basically, say for instance, if I see a house on the market, I think this house is a little. It's a little market undervalued. I don't think this is run down. I go up to the owner and I'm saying, hey, would you feel comfortable selling your house below market value?
yeah.
Right?
Don't ever do that.
Never do that.
No, they wouldn't know what you were talking about. And you saying below market value, they'd say, why would I do that? It's like me saying, would I buy your car, or would you sell me your car below market value? You tell
Okay,
me, get out
so
of my face.
So what strategy would I move? So if I was trying to get into this game and actually look at a prospect home of something I was trying to feed off to another investor, how would I go about saying it? Like, give me the gift of gab that I need to be talking like to make people even interested. Because like you said, why would somebody else do that if they could do it themselves?
So again, it's the numbers. So you should already know if you've seen this house is run down. Like you should already know what are in this area. What are the top of the market? What is the top of the market going for? So every house over here, top of the market is going 400,000. So you should go knowing that if I fix this house up, I can sell it for 100,000.
Yeah.
So then you approach them and say, I see the house is run down, or however you want to say it. Have you ever thought about selling your house? It's not, do you want to, it's have you ever thought about it? They're either gonna tell you yes or no. If they say yeah, let's get to negotiating. If they say no, do you mind if I check back with you? Or you don't have to ask them that.
I like how you said that because like a lot of times in business, sometimes you could over talk yourself and
Yes.
talk your way out of a deal.
Yeah.
And kind of like less is more a lot of times because if people actually knew that like they could make passive income doing just this, a lot of more people would be doing it, but it's just a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
stuff
that's
that
what
we're
we
not
need
taught
to-
in school.
Yeah. Especially in our community.
Most
a lot of
definitely. So
things.
I feel like in this day and age, like knowledge is really like one of the most sought out, hustles. Like knowledge is a hustle within itself. So many people, you got to pay for this game, or I ain't gonna put you on for free. Because knowledge is really something. Just the educational portions of it. Of what you said. Now, how often would you say that you're actually like? How many homes do you probably flip a year? Is there a certain number you try to hit?
No, there's no number that I try to hit. And again, you have to be in this game. You gotta be willing to pivot.
Yeah.
Like, cause you could start out with, I'm gonna do 20 homes. You can have that goal. I mean, we should all have goals, but if it's not working, it's not working. Don't force it. You should be able to, sit back on the sidelines and say, let me let everything calm down and wait for the right time. So when that right time happens, like you prepare, you just go, 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 go. So there is no specific magic number. It's just whatever is happening literally that day.
Okay.
I'll make whatever adjustments I need to.
Okay. So from you having this experience, what are like some of the challenges in real estate that a upcoming person who's trying to get into this game, what might they experience, and what do they need? Like you wish you would have known before you got in here about what you need to have set up.
I wish I'd known how important having the right people around, having a good team, just stuff like that. Really, just surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah, you could really just get rich in this day and time just knowing the right people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not knowing the right contractors, not knowing the right real estate agents, not knowing the right anything, the right seller. I mean, you'll lose so much money so fast to where you don't want to do it anymore.
So is there like an app or something for like if I had got a home today and I was looking at doing like some minor construction on it, like is there like a platform that you use to find like the best and most affordable construction that there is on the market? Like what platform do you use?
See, mine is all networking. So I
Networking.
spent years and years building a network.
Okay.
So I if I can't find somebody myself, then I can reach out to somebody to say, hey, do you know somebody I trust? Do you know somebody, a contractor, a plumber, an electrician? Because I can jump on Facebook if I want and just find any random person. I can jump on Craigslist. I can go to Home Depot and find, people sitting around looking for work. But there's a huge risk that comes with that.
Yeah.
Because I know you, if you telling me, hey, I got this plumber that does great work, I don't need to really vet him because I trust you. You know what I mean?
Now, do you do a lot of this work yourself? Because, like, now that I'm like a first time home buyer, I do like a lot of construction on my own house, and I'm so surprised, like fixing stuff myself, how much stuff actually comes. Like, it was one time, like I fell through the roof, right? The AC went out of my house. I was trying to figure out like why the AC went out, so I went up there thinking I was knowing what I was doing. Fell right through the sheetrock. I bust a line in the plumbing. Water was coming all through the house. I messed up the roof. Not the roof, but the drywall above it, whatnot. And then, trying to fix stuff my own self. I paid this guy $800 just to fix a little solenoid on the AC. And then I ended up paying another $600 just fixing the plumbing. When really the materials really only cost me probably $140 to fix everything. So doing some of these like construction homes, do you sometimes do the construction yourself, or you just totally rely 100% on the construction team, or how do you go about that to mitigate costs?
Listen, man, professionals are professionals. You have to trust them. Like your story, you just said, like you caused all this damage. You gotta just make one phone call.
Could have had it.
All the time, the frustration, the stress, the money. Like, you would have dealt with none of that.
Okay.
So I trust them to do it. Now, I'm on site sometimes, and I'll get involved, but it's what they're saying, hey, nail this here, put this here, but I'm not going in there
trying to run the show.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I got you on that. Hey, so Anthony, I think everybody thinks that like the road to success is supposed to be this smooth journey, but I know it comes with some hiccups. Like, can you tell us about one time where you thought you was gonna make a lot of money on a property, you end up taking like a fat L?
Yeah, I just bought so about a year ago, bought 2 houses in Baytown.
Okay.
I spent, let's say, $100,000, but each house, if I fixed them up and sold them, would be worth $100,000. So I was going to turn that 100 into 2. But I bought them, started fixing them up, and then COVID hit. Yeah.
So like, what challenges did COVID come with?
So the banks changed all the rules. So my exit strategy with putting a mortgage on it, renting it out, all that stuff, it changed. So I had to kind of sit and wait for them to tell me how I can exit the property.
Yeah.
So that was I ended up losing probably 30 between the 2 deals.
30 grand just in total, just like that.
Yeah. That mixed in with the banks changing the rules and mixed in with bad contractors.
Now that like COVID is kind of like on its way out, like have some of these old rules that you've been knowing to make money off of, are they starting to like come back in place?
No.
Or like, nah.
COVID's not on its way out.
Okay.
These effects are going to be lingering for a while because you have to think there's so many people who have lost their homes.
Yeah.
But they haven't been put out of their homes.
Got you.
So it's about to be, right now, it's a shortage on houses. In 6 months, when they lift that referendum and they say landlords can kick people out, banks can start foreclosing, courts can start processing, it's going to be
so
be
basically
nuts.
What you're saying is like, even if I bought a rental property like right now during COVID, if somebody wasn't paying their rent, I couldn't legally even put them out for not even paying, you know what I'm saying? So I could potentially be walking into a situation where I'm not making any money. I just have somebody dry in my house not being able to profit off of it.
Well, no, I mean, I would hope that you don't put somebody in your house that's not paying.
Right.
But again, that goes back to what I previously said. Like, you have to vet the people. Like, I sit down with them and I talk to them. What's your job?
So the screening process is very important.
Yes.
In this.
It's probably, after the rehab, it's probably the most important part.
Got you. Because there's a lot of times I be wanting to rent my house out, but I am terrified of the people that might move up in here and not be able to pay, or, either taking an L and end up having to come more out of pocket with what I'm already like expected to come out of pocket with. So
you talking about taking more in, and taking less in,
like anytime you want to like make some money, you always have that number in your head. It's like, hey, I plan on making this amount of money doing such. You know what I'm saying? I plan on spending this amount of money to make this amount of money. And, sometimes like in business, when you're trying to start your own business or you're trying to do anything like for yourself, you don't break even the
Mhm.
first couple of times you do anything. It's kind of like trial and error. You like working out what worked for me, what didn't work for me,
Yeah,
until we
so
get to that break even point.
but this is the same thing though. Like you should take that mentality into your house. My first house, I wasn't because the area wasn't built up. It was a new development. People didn't know about it. I wasn't making. Let's say my rent was my mortgage was 1,200. I can only rent it for 1,100. Now most people were like, "Don't do it. You're taking all that stuff." I
Repeat
didn't
that one more
care.
time. You had the mortgage for what, and you were
I'm
trying to
I'm
sell it for
using
what?
hard numbers just so
Okay.
people can follow. So let's say my mortgage was 1,200.
Yeah.
I can rent it for 1,100. People were saying, "Don't do it. Just sell it."
So
All
you
this
hustling
stuff.
kind of backwards. If the mortgage is 12 and you trying to rent it for 1,100,
Right, but would you take a house for $100 a month?
I probably would. I want to make some money.
Right. So I did.
Yeah.
I kept the house. This was in 2007. Still have the same house. Now the rent has increased and the area has gone up over the years. So I took what y'all consider an L the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Over the next 2 years, 2 years after that, it caught up to what the market was.
Because the property
Now it's
value
surpassed that. So
increased.
now I'm making an income. Now I have the house on the market.
Got you.
I have a buyer for it. I'll make $100,000 at the end of the month.
So you were fine with taking the L for 2 years, knowing that the property in this area would go up, knowing that eventually you would break even, and then eventually you'd be able to sell your property for a greater return than what you bought it for.
Right.
Okay, man, that's kind of genius, bro.
No, it's not.
It is genius.
No, it's like us as people, we want everything, like we're so microwave.
Yeah.
We want everything right now. We think every deal has to be a home run, like in baseball sense. Everything has to be a $40,000-$50,000 deal.
It's crazy you say that. So I was listening to another podcast, and so Jeff Bezos sat down with like Warren Buffett, and he was basically saying, he was like, bro, your investment strategy is so simple. Why doesn't everybody do it? And he was saying, because nobody wants to get rich. Everybody wants to get rich quick.
Right.
Nobody wants to put that time in it and have that vision. What could it be in 2, 5, 10 years? Everybody wants to look at it like a now return when it comes to investing in anything that they do. So
that was my biggest
thought it was
challenge.
funny that you mentioned that.
That was my biggest challenge. So I had my real estate license.
Yeah.
And I had clients. I focus on first time and bad credit, those type situations. It was so hard talking to people because if people, they watch TV, they see Instagram, they see Facebook, and they see all these pictures and these flashes of things, and you see your friend or not even your friend, just somebody you follow on a private plane, and you think, well, I should be there, but that picture isn't showing you the 2 years that they grinded.
Yeah,
to
they're
get
not
to
gonna
that
show you
point.
the grind. It's just gonna show you the product,
And you're only getting 5 seconds of everything.
Yeah.
They might get off that plane and have a miserable life. But that's what we've adopted. So no, to answer your question, no, I don't. I didn't have a problem taking $100 loss for 2 years. That's $2,400.
Yeah.
And you fast forward it 10 years now, I'm gonna make $100,000.
So you had to play the long game.
Right. Well, I do that with everything.
Okay. So yeah, that's a big deal for anybody who's looking at short-term investment. A lot of these get rich quick schemes, a lot of this stuff where people, you think you're just gonna make an instant profit. Anything in time builds increases in value. So that's a good point that he made. Sometimes you gotta hold on to stuff.
Let me cut you off. You can, again, let's use the baseball analogy. In any deal, sometimes you will hit a home run. You make $1 million. But sometimes you may make 10,000. Sometimes you may make 1,000. You made a single, you made a double, you made a triple.
But profit is profit. So sometimes people just got to be happy that they made a profit, because that's 10K you didn't have. That's 20K you didn't have.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, we don't look at it that way. That's the problem. Is if it's not a grand slam, then people don't even want to deal with it. People will leave money on the table because I don't see. I can't close and go buy a Bugatti right now, and instead of saying, what am I going to be and where am I going to be 5 years from now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like my one house that I flipped, this is a good story. It was a mother and I'm sorry. I call it this house, the owners of this house. It was an old lady. Asked her, did she want to sell it? She didn't want to sell it. And I called her every month.
Yeah.
Didn't want to sell it. I called one day. Somebody else answered the phone. It was the son. And I was like, yeah, I've been talking to you. I guess it's your mother, trying to buy this house. It's been sitting forever. She never wanted to sell it. He was like, yeah, my mom just died. Me and my sister, we don't want anything to do with this house.
Yeah.
We don't have the time. We don't have the money. They held it because they grew up in it.
They grew up in the house.
So I was like, all right, what do you want for it? He's like, let me call you in a day. He called me. I think he wanted 40. I think we settled on 32,000.
32,000.
Fixed it up, sold it for 130,000. But that's just because I stayed on it. They didn't want anything to do with it. Now I could have taken the first phone call from the lady who was like, and I'd have been out of house. Somebody would have came behind me a couple months later and got that deal. So, now, of course, it was great cashing that $100,000 check deposited into my account. That was great. But I also have stories where I've had to go to the closing table and put down $20,000.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, so you dropped a lot of gems, today on this podcast. One thing that I just kind of want to feed into you, making passive income. Like, I remember reading a story that was saying that we will work until the day that you die until you can figure out how to make money in your sleep. How has being able to make passive income changed your life? Just the way, cause you have a good job. This is not your full-time entrepreneurial job. You have an actual 9-to-5 job too, right?
I work for the government.
You work for the government. Hey,
yeah.
You're always going to get paid. You're aviation controller, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay, cool. So, and you also, you're flipping homes passively, to make income. How has that, kind of changed your life as far as, your time with your family, setting yourself up for retirement? How has that been for you?
Well, it's just like you just said. It alleviates a lot of stress. I don't have to worry about certain things. I can walk off my job at any time. I can travel when I want. I can go blow $1,000 in the club. Not that I would if I wanted to.
I've seen you do that. I've seen you cash out at the club. I've seen you do it.
You was right there. Anyway.
You give me trick vibes when we go out.
Anyway, I don't do that often.
Okay.
Sometimes if you work hard, you gotta party hard, man.
Play hard.
Party hard.
I totally agree.
Yeah, we party hard. But I'm saying it just alleviates the stress. And you can't put a price on that.
I think that's really important, man. I think that's everything, bro. Because it's I remember one time I was working this job, bro, and I was working 80, 90 hours a week. And I was bragging to my homie.
A week?
A week. I was putting in 80, 90 hours, working in the oil field. And I was hollering at my homie. I call him my rich homie because he's always been on some type of entrepreneurial grind every time I've met him. And this guy told me, he was like, man, Amir, you're not lazy. You're not lazy. I give you that. You're not lazy. But until you learn how to make money in your sleep, you'll work until the day you die. And I was like, damn, I'm putting in all this work. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting 80, 90 hours in for another company.
Yeah.
What am I doing for myself?
And that CEO that you're working for, he's sleeping in his bed while
he's sleeping in his bed. And that's when I realized, I was like, the rich don't work for money. They buy assets and they let their money work for them. So I feel like in this community, it's a lack of knowledge that we have as far as making passive income. You would be so surprised at how money is so abstract these days at the things that you can actually get paid for doing. And I was watching this YouTube. I watch a lot of podcasts myself. And this guy was talking about how he literally just sits at home every single day and he makes podcasts. He does not makes podcasts. He makes playlists for people who are at work, just like music that you would listen to that you hear on the radio all the time. He sits at home every single weekend and he makes these playlists and he puts them on YouTube. And off his streams, he's able to generate 7 to 8K a month, just off of shit that, would take 10 minutes out of your time to do, that people are actually out here making money doing. So even, forming this podcast, I kind of just wanted it to be like a tool of information. There's so many ways of, accessing a dollar that we don't know about. For generations, we've been kept from, the stock market or just basic knowledge. We're not taught, credit in school, taxation, economics, or, the economics that we are taught is not beneficial for us to life. Like the society is raising us to a point where, they're just getting us ready to work for another person, doing work for your own self, being your own entrepreneur. It's a scary step, but it's not an unattainable step. You know what I'm saying? People like you, you know what I'm saying? People like me or people like anybody, like a lot of millionaires you see nowadays, they don't look like millionaires. They look like me and you. They walk, they go to Starbucks, they put on their pants just like me and you. But there's ways of accessing money in this day and age that, it would baffle you that you could find out people was making money doing this. So I appreciate you for coming on the show, brother. You shared a lot of knowledge, a lot of gems, about rental arbitrage, buying homes wholesale, and just keep doing what you're doing. Now, if I was a person trying to get into this game, would I be able to like reach out to you and maybe pay you for your service and facilitate a rental flip for me?
Absolutely. All my services are free. I love helping people. I love, answering questions. Give me a tycoon underscore Tony 713, or you can email me ant Murphy 29 at gmail.com. I'll answer any questions you have. We can work together. I'll steer you in the right direction. I'll give you my contacts, whatever you need.
Okay, I appreciate you for coming on, brother. Go ahead and take a shot with me.